I'll show you this app, the MIT App Inventor, and it's a pretty cool little tool for developing Android apps. With a little bit of work, if you've got some programming background, you should be up and programming pretty quick. If you watch the other video, this screen should look familiar to you. These are all the items that'll show up on it. I've just got a little label up here, the graphing area, another item here to display the temperature, a couple of control buttons, threw the Make logo in there. I put a debugging thing in here to show the Bluetooth value so that I could see what is happening, and some connect to Bluetooth or Bluetooth disconnect. And that's all set up here. If you look over here, these are all the items that you can add, and it's a matter of simple as clicking on it, dragging it over, dropping it, and now you've got a new button, a button for action, whatever it is you want to do. I'm going to delete that. Yep. Okay. And we'll go through the whole thing. You've got checkboxes, date pickers. You can put an image in there. That's how I dropped this Make logo. I put the image, dropped it there. Then what I did is I come over here, and the picture, I selected the picture out of the box. Now if you want to use a different picture, for instance, let me go and upload a file, choose the file, and I'm going to go and get back over here to my pictures, and let's see, I'm going to bring that one up there and say OK, and bam, I got a little different picture on there. Okay, and maybe want to change it back later on, so go back and change it, hit OK, done. Now I've got a couple of more buttons down here to connect to the Bluetooth and disconnect from the Bluetooth. Now each of these buttons, for instance, to start, all the parameters, all the items, and how it looks are all set up here. Okay, let's change the shape. Let's make it oval. Okay, you can make it rectangular with sharp edges. I like the rounded, with little rounded edges on there so you can see that. You can set the default text here, and you can also change the text from within the program. So you'll see this start. Once I hit start, that text will go from start to pause. So you pretty much set up your app, what you want to see, get all those items on there, and now you can see over here what we have. You've got a top spacer, you've got a label title, and there's the text right down here. Then here's our canvas that we're putting up here, and that happens to be a picture called a grid there. You can see the grid picture that was uploaded to provide you with a grid. Now this temp is just a label, value label, and now this is also a label which is set from within the program. Okay, now again another label just for text, and then another label, but that is set from within the program. Okay, now I brought down here, I threw another label in there, and let's say if we want to change the height, you can up and lower the height however you want. You can fix it or make it automatic. Okay, you can set it in pixels or percent. However you want to go with this, it's pretty much up to you. And also you can come back over here, you can change the font, you can change the background color. There's really not much you can't do on here. Alright, so if you look at this, we've got screen 1. You can have multiple screens. These are all the items you can go and put in here. You've got layout items, you can put tables, media, you can connect to your camcorder or your camera, or you can go grab an image. Drawing animation, you can have balls or canvas. That's the canvas, which is what this graph is using. Okay, it's got maps, so you can work with maps and put a map in there if you want. Now sensors allows you to connect to any of the sensors on your camera. So you've got your clock, gyroscope or sensor, location sensor, near field sensor. You got orientation, pedometer, proximity sensor, all those on there. They give you some social items so you can pick email, make phone call, share whatever you've got there. And of course storage, create file, connectivity, and this is where we pull the Bluetooth client. Okay, the Bluetooth client, you just grab that and you're going to drop it here and it'll show up down here under non-visible components. Alright, now if this was acting as a Bluetooth server, you would drop that in. You want to do a web page, you can do that. Has support for Lego Mindstorm. Okay, I guess there's some experimental things in there, and then if you want to import and build your own extensions, you can put those here. Now under sensors, there's a clock, and you can see there are 3 clocks in here that are utilized. Okay, now switch over here, come up here in the corner, and you can see blocks, and this is where your coding takes place. There's a lot of coding on here. If you're familiar with LabVIEW, some of the Lego coding, this is building block type coding. Now what I did on this, there were 2 apps that I built off of. There was a heart monitor app, which I used for sending Bluetooth data, and I went and modified that. And then there was this graphing app for graphing data, and I put the 2 of them together. All these items here are set up in initialization values for the graphing. And here's the initialization for the screen. When you push that reset button, it resets it. You push the start button, these are the items that take place. Okay, now this thing, by the way, that shows up over here is a backpack. Okay, otherwise known as a clipboard. So if you throw something in there, you can select items and put them into your backpack and then paste them later. Okay, step button is just a simple click to update the graph. Reset button resets everything. Then we come over here. These are the items that take place when you rotate the screen, and you've got some clock timers that you're setting up here, and those the clock timers that we're using here are for periods to update the graph. If it's moving too fast, you can change your clock time, and you go back over here, and I believe there's a clock time somewhere in here we set it. I'd have to go back and look at it and find it, but it's, as I'm going through, if I find the clock time, I'll point that out to you. Okay, here's the reset button. Now here's initialize the graph. This sets everything up to initialize the graph and get everything there. Let's move over here. Now this is the update graph. Now what the application that I downloaded did, it was using a random number generator and was doing the graph. So I commented that out, and that's really easy to do. You right click on it and here enable the block so that can work. I'm going to disable the block so that comments it out, or disables it, not really comments it out. Enable it, disable, and I'm bringing that pop-up menu by hitting the right mouse button. Okay, now I created Bluetooth value global, and you'll see where that's set, but essentially what it does, it goes out and gets this and displays that on the front part of the text. So let me go show you where that is. Value val label, we'll go to designer and value val label. So that's where this value gets updated, right here on this block. Now it also takes that global value, looks at the minimum, looks at the maximum, and then does the mapping or the scaling to fit it within your display. And that scaling is going to change based on whether it's portrait or landscape orientation. and it goes through there, sets up all this, okay, and clear the canvas, and now we'll go through and draw the line and everything, all the routine to draw that line. Okay, now if we come back over here, okay, there's a reset. Oh, the error occurs, it'll happen, all you display your errors. Now here's your Bluetooth. Okay, if you click on the Bluetooth select, it builds your elements that are out there, and it goes and connects to the address and everything, passes that information along, and if it connects, the button, the Bluetooth select button, changes to connected. And disconnect, it'll change to connect to Bluetooth. Okay, now the Bluetooth needs a global variable which is called input, and then we create a global list and create an empty list. Now every time we get a clock tick on 3, comes in here and says if it's connected, go out and check to see if there's bytes able to be received, and now we go out and get it, bring in the number of bytes, and parse that into a variable called list. It's a global variable called list, and it's going to split the text at this character. So that's your delimiter. The delimiter, in a lot of cases, that's the OR symbol, but that's what I'm using as a delimiter, and I'll show you that in a moment. And then also, after I parse that list out, I go to the first index. The index on these lists start at 1, not at 0. So I'm going to go and set that Bluetooth value global to the first item in the list. And then also I'm going to set the label, Bluetooth value label text, to that. So if I come back over here, okay, that's this little one down here, Bluetooth value label. Okay, so I can set that, put those values. Then I clear my input and clear the list. Alright, that's it. That's real simple. That is the entire application all there. I'm going to flip over now to the Arduino, and what I have is a real simple program. Right now it's just, this is the test program, and this will be replaced with the temperature and the temperature sensor data acquisition, but it's a very simple. I wanted to put this here just for two purposes. One, to show you how simple it is to send the data, and number two, to give you a data simulator to test against. And so we start in software serial, and I've got the Bluetooth device connected on pins 10 and 11. 10 is receive, 11 is transmit. Okay, I can delete these two because they're not being used right now. I created a floating variable called counter value. Counter val, and string state is not being used either, so let me get rid of that and clean that up a little bit. Do the setup, start to begin the Bluetooth, and then I've got serial begin if I want to insert messages to go out to my serial monitor. And if you go here in the loop, all I do is I print the counter value, and then I print the delimiter, the delimiter with a line feed at the end of it. Then I go through and do some math. I take a constant value and I do a multiplication just so you can see some changing floating point data. And if I get up to 140, I reset it back to 1, and away we go. Alright, I'm going to delay a second. You can change that, depending on how fast you want to go, and that's it. So this is, you upload this into the Arduino, compile the sketch. Of course, it's not going to upload right now because I have my microphone plugged into the USB port instead of the Arduino, but you get what's happening there. That's about it, and really easy way to do Arduino apps. A lot of fun.